Hello, and welcome to the 33rd episode of A Woman Robbed, a bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is, where we talk actresses who may have come close to earning Oscar nominations but were ultimately overlooked, omitted, or for one reason or another just didn't have the votes to make it into the final lineup, discussing why they may have deserved to get in and why they ultimately didn't. Each episode has its own theme, presented as a double feature, and this week we're going to diverge a little bit from the norm here, because we'll be talking about two performances from TV movies that could have hypothetically gotten Oscar nominations if they were released theatrically. And my guest today is always a treat to have on the show. She has joined me on various shows of mine over the years, most recently on The World According to Glenn, where we discussed Rodrigo Garcia's Things You Can Tell Just by Looking at Her, a film title I have finally committed to memory. Welcome back, Chelsea Eichholz.
Kevin, thank you for having me. I do not have that title committed to memory, but I do have to credit Glenn because I think through our galaxy brains, she's how we got to today's subject, TV movies.
We did cover Serving in Silence, for one thing, which is an
Hmm.
excellent TV movie.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you on for this. You will be quizzed at the end of the episode about what that title was I just said. So,
Oh boy.
yes.
It's going to be wild. Good luck,
Mm-hmm.
listeners, viewers,
Yes.
readers.
Yes. Let's get into it. I presented to my patrons here at And the Runner-Up Is a list of 15 Emmy-nominated or Emmy-winning performances who could have potentially competed for Oscars if their films were released theatrically. And the amazing options were Drew Barrymore in Grey Gardens, Halle Berry in Introducing Dorothy Dandridge, Claire Danes in Temple Grandin, Judy Davis in Life with Judy Garland, Me and My Shadows, Laura Dern in The Tale, Sally Field in Sybil, Angelina Jolie in Gia, Queen Latifah in Bessie, S. Ipatha Merkerson in Lackawanna Blues, Bette Midler in Gypsy, Julianne Moore in Game Change, Emma Thompson in Wit, Cicely Tyson in The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, Lynn Whitfield in The Josephine Baker Story, and Alfre Woodard in Miss Evers Boys. First of all, round of applause for all those ladies. I mean,
Truly, all hits, no skips,
yeah,
honestly. Even if you don't
thank
love
you.
the film, the performance is great. I think I've seen most, if not all of those. I would have to check the records, but
That's
so many
incredible.
great ladies.
Wow. Yeah, I still need to fill in a few of those personally, some of the older ones that I missed out on. But
Oh yeah. I think
yeah,
Lynn
but
Whitfield's how we got to the topic of TV movie
I
performances
think
that are
so.
like Oscar
Yeah.
worthy. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone go watch that. It's great. HBO
Yeah.
was putting out a lot of great TV movies for women in the 90s and
Yes.
2000s.
Two of which we'll talk about today. And
Mm-hmm.
this was an incredible result because we had our first ever three-way tie at the top between Drew Barrymore, Halle Berry, and Julianne Moore. Now, I must point out how utterly insane this was because I then had to run a 24-hour runoff poll to bring the three down to the two. And then that's what I noticed when I posted this poll, that the options were Barry, Moore, and Barrymore. And when
I
I saw
remember
this,
you sent me like a tiny screenshot of their names, and I've been so tickled since that it just makes my day. It is so beautiful. I'm like, wait, what is the universe telling us right now?
I know. I feel like I unlocked the secrets of the universe. The planets
Did.
aligned. The age of Aquarius is upon us. I felt the presence of God. I just don't know what to do with myself.
And that
It's
god was
incredible.
Jinx Monsoon. Yes.
I know that's right. Yes. And then the poll was super close here too, but the top two vote getters were Halle Berry and Drew Barrymore.
So
So
you had to
those are the
split the
two.
difference.
Exactly. Right. So, yeah, I was super pleased with this result, especially because I feel like these are two of the strongest what if cases of what would have happened if they
Mm-hmm.
were able to compete for Oscars. More on that later. But before we delve into Halle and Drew, Chels, I know you're a huge TV lover. And based on what you just said, you're also a big TV movie lover as well. But it also feels like fewer and fewer TV movies are getting made these days, or they're just being produced as limited series when they probably shouldn't be. But having said all that, what is your general history with TV movies and why it seems like a lot of our great actresses tend to find great roles here as opposed to theatrical?
you know about my grandma Shirley. I reference her every time I'm on a podcast, I think.
Legend. Yes.
She loves movie stars, and one thing about the 90s and 2000s when I was growing up was every great movie star actress was in TV movies. Everyone from Glenn Close, Halle Berry, Jessica Lange and Halle Berry. And I feel like you
Right.
just turn on Lifetime or HBO or ABC or whatever Hallmark Hall of Fame, and there was like a
Showtime.
great actress just
Yeah.
randomly there doing great work. And because of misogyny in the industry, it was not going to be put in a theater because women can't sell movies. To this day, we can't. Who knew? But I
Sorry.
just like ate all of that up. Like Grandma Shirley raised me on movie stars, so I've known Drew Barrymore and Halle Berry since like I came out of the womb. And I just love those ladies, and I'm so happy to be talking about them because they've been doing great work forever and are sadly under recognized. Even though Halle has an Oscar, like she is deeply under recognized.
Yeah, an Oscar and an Emmy for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I don't typically seek out TV movies, especially nowadays, because it's just not what it used to be.
It's literally they're going to throw the movie on Hulu and that is considered a TV movie now. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
you're just not
exactly.
investing in something.
Precisely. But I do remember growing up and it being kind of an exciting event to watch whatever prestige HBO original movie was premiering that weekend with those big name stars, like you said, and knowing they would probably be nominated for Emmys. There was kind of like a special quality to that, I think, which I think is a little bit missing nowadays, where everyone and their mother is doing a limited series. These A-list movie stars like Nicole Kidman have like 3 or 4 a year, and it's just
Nicole
like
has
so
the most
oversaturated.
miniseries right now. Like you just
It's
change your
insane.
streaming service and you're like, what is Spec Op Lioness? Who knew?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, it's just very oversaturated. But I think what a lot of the TV movies really offered and what some of these more recent limited series offer for actresses is the chance to dig into complex characters. And it really sucks that movie studios are so skittish about putting these kinds of like women forward stories in theaters. I imagine the thinking is that there's less risk involved, quote unquote, and that the public, especially men, is maybe less likely to go out and watch a traditional dramatic story about a woman or about multiple women in the case of Grey Gardens. And it's a shame, but at the same time, TV movies, I think, do get a bad rap in general. And there's always, a risk of movies of this variety kind of getting lost in the shuffle of the flashier nature of Oscar season, But there are movies of this variety that do still sneak through, like Eyes of Tammy Faye and,
Yes.
Being the Ricardos, I guess, or
Yeah.
even some recent ones like Naiad or Song Sung Blue, like maybe could have gone either way, but just the quality of these performances is just kind of undeniable for voters. So it is a shame that even though the Emmy is obviously a huge honor, and I wouldn't necessarily call the Oscar inherently better than an Emmy, I do feel a little differently on that when it comes to performances in TV movies because they are movies. And I just personally don't believe it's super fair to have movie performances competing with like episodic TV performances, even miniseries. To me, it's just a different medium. So that's why I
Oh, it's
wish.
completely different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm your friend who watches the most television. You got me hooked
Yes.
on serialized, and like my stats are public. It's scary, like how I spend my time. But
Sure.
miniseries and movies are completely different. I think TV movies at this point should just be competing for Oscars and
Yes.
all the film categories. I do not care because it's so different from what it used to be at this point.
Right.
And like
Exactly.
what you look at what is being nominated for like made for TV movie, and it's like something that went to a film festival, was sold to a streamer that they burned off one Friday night, and
Hmm.
you never hear about again. Like you don't even get too many performances from TV movies nominated for Emmys anymore. So I'm just like, maybe we just change what award rules are at this point because it's all going to YouTube anyways. So who
Exactly.
cares?
Yes, I'm just at the point of hoping that because the lines are so blurred with streaming nowadays and how so many more people are just watching movies on TV just in general, that a new rule is put in place where TV movies and performances from TV movies can just compete at the Oscars, regardless of theatrical release, honestly. And sure, this could maybe open up a can of worms and like make some studios like Netflix not want to invest in theatrical releases. There's a whole discussion to be had about
They
that.
already
But
don't want to. They're literally only
exactly.
required to do like a weekend
Yes.
of New York and LA screenings. Like they're
Right.
doing the barest of
The bare
minimum to
minimum.
begin
Yeah.
with. And I'm like, at least on HBO or what used to be Showtime and a lot of these like streaming services, they are being seen. So that is
Yeah.
nice.
Yes. So we shall see how things change in the future because the state of the TV movie nowadays is like, girl,
It's pretty dire.
what's
Although it
happening
is
here?
how Sandra Oh has her Emmy. And as a person
Yes,
deeply
that's true.
invested in certain people who deserve Emmys, I'm glad she has one. But it's
Hmm.
ridiculous she has it for producing a TV movie.
Quiz Lady.
I
Yes.
know, not a bad movie.
Yeah. A solid 3 stars for me. But
There
yes,
you go.
let's get into what we're here to talk about today, starting with Halle Berry in introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
Go ahead, Earl. Make jokes. Tonight, I'll take my bows and exit stage rear. Go through the kitchen, past the casino, around the pool that I'm apparently too dirty to swim in, up the service elevator, into my luxurious penthouse suite, sip my complimentary champagne, and pee in a brand new Dixie cup.
I take that walk with you every night, you know.
But the difference is, Earl, you don't have to.
So, of course, we have discussed Halle Berry on the 2001 Best Actress episode, her historic win for Monsters Ball. Just to run back my introduction for her and contextualize where she was at this point in her career, she had already broken through into the public eye as a model. She won Miss Teen America and Miss Ohio. She was a runner-up for Miss America. She had made her film debut in Jungle Fever. She had done Strictly Business, Boomerang, The Flintstones, and gone dramatic with losing Isaiah opposite Jessica Lange, who will, of course, come up later in our discussion. She had done Executive Decision, Baps, Bulworth, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, and then in 1999, she made what she considered her passion project, introducing Dorothy Dandridge, where she plays Dorothy Dandridge, who we discussed, of course, on the 1954 episode when she starred in Carmen Jones and became the first Black Best Actress nominee at the Oscars. So for years, she had really wanted to bring Dorothy Dandridge's story to film, with the 1991 biography on Dorothy by Earl Mills serving as the basis, and she really put her foot on the gas in the late 90s because Janet Jackson and Whitney Houston were also interested in buying the rights to Dorothy's story. Halle said in an interview at the time, quote, "I felt an urgency to make this project because it was so important, and after they expressed interest in it, it made me wonder if they would beat me. It's because I suffer from many of the issues that Dorothy Dandridge suffered with that I was inspired to get this movie made on my own," end quote. So good for her. She co-produced the film. Martha Coolidge, the director of Rambling Rose and many other films, got involved. Scott Abbott and the great Shonda Rhimes were the screenwriters. So introducing Dorothy Dandridge follows Dorothy on the last days of her life before her tragic death at the age of 42, as she calls her friend and looks back on her life up to that point, which included singing as part of the Dandridge sisters in her late teens, early 20s. Her mother, Ruby, played by Loretta Devine, is an actress and typically away from home, and Ruby's lover, known as Auntie, takes care of her and her sister and often physically abuses Dorothy. She has many affairs with men, but struggles to open herself up to them sexually because of the abuse then she suffered, and she soon becomes a popular solo act and breaks into Hollywood, eventually meeting with the director Otto Preminger, and she convinces him to cast her in the lead role in Carmen Jones, which of course lands her that Oscar nomination. She has an affair with him while he's married, and she's struggling with the overt racism of the time and tries to deal with the many pressures and self-medicates, becomes addicted to drugs and alcohol. Lots of highs and lows for Miss Dandridge here. So let's get right into it, Chelsea. Thoughts on Halle Berry as an actress? You could even talk about Dorothy Dandridge too while you're at it, and her Emmy-winning performance here.
First off, listeners, I apologize. I have 40,000 dogs, and one of them has to sit in my lap because I'm a Bond villain for some reason. And he has thoughts because Halle Berry is a Bond girl. I have a James Bond podcast, so I am deeply delighted that it was her. and
Yes.
a Bond villain from what I call a fake James Bond movie in
Right.
this.
That's
But
true.
Halle Berry, again, I've always known about Halle Berry. I am representing one of her great works today, and that I love the Flintstones. That's how I was introduced to her because I was a child. It's also how I was introduced to Elizabeth Taylor. So,
Same.
talent. My little Pebbles Flintstone
I love
ponytail
it.
here. Thank
Hmm.
you. No, Halle Berry has always just been a star in my mind. Like, my brother got one of his names from a Halle Berry Jessica Lange movie, Isaiah. So I think that is
Wow.
hilarious that we're really reuniting all of this today.
Hmm.
She's always been a star. And like, as you were introducing her and going through her 90s filmography, I'm like, Babs, hit. Everything she was doing with Spike, hit. I
Yeah.
love everything she was doing. And I feel like Hollywood has done her so dirty. Like, she mentioned in one of the interviews promoting Dorothy Dandridge that it took her 6 years to get this like produced. And she said she wasn't technically in competition with Whitney and Janet for like this specific thing, but they were all trying to produce their own different projects, and that she was just the least busy, I guess, because they're big stars. And I do love that she really connected with somebody and who helped her like inspire her to become an actress, and that she was able to do this. I love when women are able just to create work for themselves because Hollywood's not going to serve them. And I thought she was pretty great in this movie that really needed a better director and maybe a few more script passes, because this does feel like your standard Tammy Faye biopic, which I don't generally care about biopics, so that's why you invited me here today. But
Correct.
the moment you start watching this and you're like, she captures everything about Dorothy. Like, just that magic she has, even recreating scenes from Carmen Jones, which I did rewatch for this because I do extra credit for you, Kevin, and only you.
I love it so
And
much.
I know, and I'm just like, she's just got it, even though this movie could be so much better. It I do wonder what Shonda Rhimes today could make of this movie instead of the Shonda Rhimes of 27 years ago was
Good
able to
math.
do. Look at me. I can do math. Oh my
Proud of you.
gosh.
Look at you.
Thank you. I am really surprised right now. But yeah, no disrespect to Martha Coolidge, Miss American Girl herself, but I think her direction is probably the weakest part of this whole project. But Hallie really shines in a way that I don't care how bad the
Yeah.
movie itself is, like just the pacing. I'm just captivated by everything she's doing.
Yeah, I co-signed so much of what you just said. I have talked
Mhm.
about Hallie. I too was first introduced to her through the Flintstones as
Taste.
the incredible Sharon Stone. Incredible name. Love that so much to this day. Just amazing stuff. And I loved her, of course, as Storm in the X-Men series,
Of course.
I mean, she
so
is just unbelievably cool and beautiful and charismatic. And again, like you said, I still feel like even for all her success and her awards, it still doesn't feel like enough. Like, which is a Hollywood problem more than a Halle Berry problem, as we know. I know she doesn't have the filmography of some of her fellow Oscar winners or contemporaries, but she just has such a great, like, I guess, relaxing presence to me on screen, and this confidence that I find really appealing. Like, she just knows what she's doing.
She just has that inexplicable it factor to where
Yeah.
when she's on the screen, you are just so locked in to what she's doing. I recommend the mixed reviews episode about her because they go through her whole career, like to a point, and it's so good just learning about everything she's done. And some of her best work is the stuff that you've never heard of.
I'm sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did not see Introducing Dorothy Dandridge at the time. I feel like I was a little too young for that, perhaps. But I watched it actually for the first time in the lead up to that 2001 episode that I did, because
Ooh.
I felt like it was an important part of the story, and she really blew me away, as she did on this rewatch too. I mean, sometimes you can really tell when an actor is so thoroughly invested in their role. Like, they just know this inside and out. They've studied it even before a script was written, and they just naturally connect to the material in a way that not many others could. And that's really how I feel watching her here. Like, she totally gets it. She, you know, even though she grew up differently and experienced racism slightly differently as well, and has been afforded more opportunities than Dorothy had, the racism was still there, and the feelings of insecurity and rejection were still there. The struggle to break into a system that was largely kind of gate kept. Is that a word?
Yeah, there were so many gatekeepers, like
Yeah.
then and now, like even
Yeah.
to this day, like Halle Berry, good luck trying to get her as a lead in a movie theater at this point,
Yeah.
even though she has an Oscar. She's been in super successful films and she's just like a movie star as well. Like good luck to any woman at this point, especially her. But it's like you said, they experience so many similar things and all the awful parts of Hollywood. Halle has like referenced, I've went through very similar things. And I mean, as we all know with me too, I'm like, yeah, we've seen some of the horrible things that these men were capable of. So I'd hate to see what was happening to her as a black woman. And
Exactly.
I'm just really happy that she got to produce this movie and star in it because it's just so hard to get anything made.
Mm-hmm. And for what it's worth, I think for as many flaws as we can maybe find in this movie, I don't feel that it is super exploitative in how it is exploring her struggles even. So I appreciate that. I'm sure she had a hand in that as well, to have her be seen in the right way. But yeah, she really seems to channel Dorothy Dandridge here, not just in her look, but the way she moved on screen and like the charisma, the little look in her eye, the little twinkle in her eye in a vulnerable moment. I mean, she really just nails this without it ever feeling like she's straining to get it right. You know, I'm sure she put in a lot of work, but there are just so many moments here where she makes it look so easy, but also showing like there was so much going on underneath the surface that Dorothy was having to manage with her public persona, her being a black woman in the industry and not wanting to let her community down, but also wanting to progress forward in her career in this system that is white men being in charge of it, plus dealing with all her personal life with her family and her relationships. Like, she's juggling so many different things here. But
yes. And like this movie, like Halle, you could tell she just wanted to get everything right to pay respect to Dorothy. And this is where I'm like, I wish it was a mini series because I just want to spend more time getting to know her, Dorothy. And yes, this movie does put every bad thing that's ever happened to this actress in there, and it is very tragic. But also, I think that's important for the white peoples like us to see because it's like, no, you need to be hit with the realities of how bad things were and what Dorothy was putting up with and fighting against. Sometimes, like, we do need that little lesson in there. And I'm really glad that she was able to get all of these scenes shot because she said in an interview, they just didn't have money to do something. So she donated her salary so they could get certain scenes in there, like the Oscar scene. And luckily, HBO eventually gave them more money way after the fact. But I think it's a credit to her that this movie manages to represent Dorothy so well.
thank you for listening to this preview of A Woman Robbed, a bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is. If you liked what you heard and want to hear more, please go to patreon.com/andtherunnerup.is and become a patron. Only $5 a month will get you access to bonus episodes, exclusive polls, and early access to regular episodes. Thank you so much for your consideration.